Did you know actually the Assassin is the best character in all of Diablo 2 Resurrected? If you agree with me or disagree with me, let me know why down in the comments. And if you do end up enjoying the video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe up for future Diablo 2 Resurrected content. Now, of course, where are we going to start off talking about one of the characters being the most powerful? We're talking about the playthrough first off, people. And the Assassin is either the most powerful character on the playthrough or perhaps second most powerful. But I would definitely probably argue that the Assassin is the most powerful with a few of its trap skills. So go ahead and take a look. When you first jump into the Assassin, you're going to end up going with the fire skills because fire skills are super powerful incredibly early on. Pretty much every character uses fire skills. So when you're looking at Fire Blast, you're looking at Wake of Fire. Wake of Fire is amazing. And with some of the changes that they made to the Assassin in some of the more recent patches for Diablo 2 Resurrected, you can actually use Wake of Fire all the way, even crazy good in the end game. It could be real tough getting through hell difficulty until you get like way better gear, but you can get a lot better gear and actually start slapping monsters down and actually use this for farming even end game. But up until about Act 4 of Nightmare, this could be one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful skill in the entire game. But that's not what you end up using late game. Usually there's a few different options, which I'll talk about, but incredibly powerful early on. Martial arts skills for playthrough stuff, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle, but you definitely can. And there actually is a martial art type of build we'll talk about being crazy good late game. But burst of speed is one early on, getting a bunch more movement speed, a bunch more attack speed, a really great skill even early on. And late game, if you're doing one of the trappers, this is an absolute go-to one you gotta have. Now, when you're talking about the gear over here, you can usually just go with kind of a generic caster setup, even though this character would be kind of a caster early on, but also kind of not, because if you're using those fire traps, all traps actually go off your attack speed breakpoints instead of your caster. But getting plus skills is still super important, and they're incredibly easy to get when you get things like the Spirit Sword, when you get things like the Lore. And then you obviously want to run faster, so you throw on a stealth and get the hit recovery. So really you go with almost the exact same setup you go with really any type of caster in the game early on. It's crazy how much damage you really get out of that firebomb and that Wake of Fire when you're on the playthrough through normal. And really, even though it's just a bunch of damage, it really is going to help out any party getting that much damage on a playthrough, like on a ladder reset. Now, first up, we're going to talk about one of the newest characters that is crazy powerful, and it just takes a few budget rune words. It's not my favorite, so I actually don't exactly have any gameplay of it myself, but I got my buddy GStaxxx here, who actually has a YouTube channel himself. Go ahead and check him out. He streams occasionally here, Diablo 2 Resurrected every few days, stuff like that. Amazing dude. Give him a follow, give him a subscription here on his YouTube channel. But the Mosaic Assassin, just for a couple of mid runes with a couple of claws, I don't know, it could be even the most powerful build in the entire game. Borderline broken, especially for how cheap it is. This character, besides absolutely melting your retinas, absolutely melts monsters. It can slap down the most powerful Uber bosses. It can clear Chaos Sanctuary players, 8 bail runs, all this stuff absolutely amazingly. Personally, I don't like it because it literally hurts my eyes. I just can't stand it. I gotta squint the whole time when it's playing. But there's no doubting, nobody could argue that it's not incredibly powerful. But there also is the old tried and true assassin, and that is the lightning trap assassin, which I'm going to go ahead and show you right now. You obviously need burst of speed, and with the trap assassin, you aren't going to put any into the martial arts. What you are going to do is get all of these skills right down the side. Death Sentry, Lightning Sentry, Charge Bolt Sentry, Shock Weapon, Fire Blast. And with me being at level 92, I'm going to max out all of these because they're all either synergies of each other. Right here we got Fire Blast and Lightning Sentry synergy, Shockweb and Death Bolt Sentry, and these are the two that you mainly use for your damage. Death Sentry is essentially Corpse Explosion, which is the same as on the Necromancer, and Lightning Sentry is your main damage outputter, taking down the first few bodies before everything starts popping, and then clearing up the last few individual monsters. And it all does it all by itself. You just throw them down and walk away. So there's a few synergies with these skills right up here, and you got those all capped out. And that's how you get most of your damage right there. And remember, I did mention that the traps are laid down on attack speed, and that's why I go with burst to speed. 50% attack speed, and you get some more walk run, even though this character I got right here actually has Enigma on for teleport. If you're playing hardcore, or if you just want some more survivability, you can go with Fade, which will give you a ton more resistances. You could also come down to Mind Blast, which is another safety skill, but I generally, it depends on where you're running, I suppose. High level terror zones, maybe you might want to do it. If you're in a party, maybe you might want to do that to help everybody else out as well. Mind Blast stuff to kind of distract monsters, but running in the pits or something like that, I feel like completely unnecessary with very, very, very great gear. And that's what we're going to take a look at right now, the gear. So I went with kind of the generic version, sort of, with a few tweaks here and there. So here we have the Heart of the Oak, getting all them skills and the cast rate to teleport around faster. All res. We got the Spirit Shield of, obviously. I actually have a 20 FCR Assassin amulet right here that I actually crafted up here on single player. First ever 220 amulet. Absolutely primo amazing. We got an SOJ and a Ravenfrost at the rings. And then actually up on the helm, we have a Griffin's Eye. Now you need the FCR to kind of get to the breakpoint. The breakpoint's 102 for the cast rate that we want to get to. There's one higher one, but it's completely illogical to even try to get to. It's like 190 or something along those lines, 204, something crazy. But also in some recent patches here for Diablo 2 Resurrected, now the minus enemy lightning res and the lightning damage actually does apply to the traps now. For the longest time back into Diablo 2 history, it never did apply correctly to your traps because they're like considered minions. But they finally fixed it, changed it up, so that does work now. We've got, of course, a Digma skills teleport, obviously. We got Arachnus Mesh for the cast rate to get that teleporting breakpoint, and a skill. Boots, we got some rare boots over here. You could go with War Travs or a bunch of different other options. And on the gloves, I actually went with attack speed and some fire res here for laying of hands in order to get more faster, increased attack speed to throw them traps down even faster. Looking at the charms, obviously you want to stack up trap charms, and you get all your unique charms down here. The Geeds, the Torch and Annie, and actually Sunder charms originally, once again, did not work for your traps because they are considered minions. But they did correct that and they did fix that. And now the Sunder charms does actually like sunder the monsters for your traps, actually. You could also go with another option to really max out your damage, self-wielding Infinity. But I decided to do it this way to teleport around, get to them breakpoints. And I actually have the Infinity on my Mercenary to get the Conviction Aura. The minus lightning res only affects the traps if they're on your character. If the minus lightning res, which is directly behind me, just ever so slightly right there, it does not minus the enemy lightning res for the traps if it is on your Mercenary. But you still get the Conviction Aura that works for everything. We also have Andy Helm up here and the Fortitude. Pretty much the go-to, most bestest option for the Mercenary. Now we'll hop to the cleverest place to test it out. Oh wait, crazy enough, I'm level 92, and actually, I never even beat Diablo with this character on single player because there isn't really much of a reason, with the exception of I really want that Anya quest resistance. Maybe we'll go ahead and take that out in a little bit. But right now, why don't we hop to a go-to for the Trap Assassin, and that's actually farming the pits. Now, of course, on swap here, I also have CTA, which I forgot to mention, but that's, I thought, pretty much obvious on any endgame build. And we'll teleport out here. Hey, we got a group of monsters right here, a whole bunch of them. Go ahead and throw those down. I actually don't have my burst of speed on here, but you see chopping these monsters down. And this is just players 1 difficulty. If you're out here doing like Holy Grail farming or whatever, players 1 is pretty much perfectly fine. Since most of the rarest uniques you can only get on players 1 difficulty anyways. There, that champion's popped down. You can go ahead and move on. Here's another group of champions. Throw down the traps. Boom. And you see, I'm actually using mana potions here just because I don't have an insight on this particular character. If you were self-wielding Infinity, you could throw the insight on your Mercenary, but I decided to not go that route. And what's the problem with just using a potion or 2 here and there? Let's find a good safe spot there. Drop down the traps, and I'm throwing 4 lightning traps and 1 death sentry. That's because you can only have 5 traps active at once, and you only really need 1 trap for blasting up the monsters. Boom. Dunzo right there. You can go ahead and move on. Trap. Death sentry. You can go ahead and move on if you wanted to. Grab some potions. Why not? For a quick second, move on. And actually, before we jump down to the bottom here, let me just swap it to players 8 so you can go ahead and see how good does this really do here on players 8 difficulty. And that's exactly what we got rocking right here. There you get a monster down. The corpse explosion starts going. Bang, bang, bang. And it works real darn good, huh? You can see it blasting away, and you just stand here while it does all the damage. Now, there is definitely some stuff that you can go ahead and boost up the survivability a little bit better. My resistances are garbage on this particular one because I didn't really care that much. But if you don't care about dying once in a while, you know, hardcore character, whatever, you probably want to work some more survivability into the build. Completely up to you. And welp, why don't I go kill Diablo for the first time ever on this level 92 assassin, huh? And it can give you a good show of what it can do in the Chaos Sanctuary. I'm just swapping it down to players 1, but it still gives you an idea of how good this character really is. Not going to do a full clear, let's just make it a quick one. We're going to teleport around here and just kind of seal pop the bosses while playing it minimally safe. There's a rune sword, I forgot, was that Plague Bear or something like that, I think? There goes down one, onto DREVO. Oof, this is a busy room too, fellas. Busy room. DREVO's group, watch your mercenary. They can be little buggers. True story. There goes down DREVO. And I think we'll go ahead and clear. This is a pretty big pack. We'll go ahead and clear them out. With all the corpse explosion, I mean, it doesn't really take too long, huh? And we're almost on to Diablo. This is the first ever Diablo kill on this assassin too. Very interesting. Very interesting. See, I'm not really much of a leveler. I don't love just like plowing levels in this game. So that's what I've been doing. A lot of farming pits, farming different places in Act 2, Act 3, things like that. Go ahead and spam the traps up around Diablo. And let's see how fast or slow this goes. Yeah, I would say that's a pretty good Diablo kill right there. And that's how good this character is. And this is the Trap Assassin. And like I said, if you really stop and think about it, the Mosaic Assassin might be even more powerful than this. Probably is, to be perfectly honest. It's just not my preferred play style. I don't like the way it looks. I don't like anything about it. But hey, let me know all your opinions on the Assassin down in the comments. Agree, disagree, and why. Don't forget the like button and subscribe up if you did enjoy the video and you made it all the way to the end. So you must have. So peace out, fellas, and keep slaying.